And now, hello, Julie.
Hello, lovely to be with you.
Thank you. So you're actually working at Capernwray Hall. Is it Capernwray? How? I'm getting confused now as to how to say the name of the hall.
It's definitely Capernwray. Yeah, definitely Capernwray. Although it is from the north, and as you'll detect, I have rather more of a southern accent, but it is still Capernwray, whether you're northern or southerner.
I was going to say I'm not detecting a northern twang in your voice. We can come on to that in a minute. So what's your role here at Capernwray?
Well, I have been working here for 5 years in various roles of operations and administration. For this week, for the purposes of while we've got Teen Street here, I'm the Capernwray liaison person to make sure that Teen Street has a great time, that our partnership between Capernwray and Operation Mobilisation works as well as it possibly can to welcome Teen Street here. So I've been doing the organisation from Capernwray's end to welcome, and it's been an absolute joy to have Teen Street here this week. We're really excited about it.
Fab. And I was told when I was first invited to come for this week that there's actually a history going back quite a long time between Capernwray Hall, Operation Mobilisation, and now with Teen Street as well.
Absolutely. Well, Capernwray Hall has been here for a long time. It's been here since 1946 as a place where we love to have people come to stay with us and hear more about Jesus. I confess I'm not entirely sure exactly when the start of the relationship was with OM, but Peter Maiden, who was Matthew Skirden's predecessor as the CEO of OM, was also one of our trustees, is a local guy, he comes from Carlisle, and so there's certainly been a very close connection between OM. He used to come and teach the students at our Bible school here about mission, and Matthew has carried on doing that. So yeah, we've had connections with OM. We're encouraging our students to go out on OM short-term outreach, which is a fantastic opportunity for them, and we've had people here on the Teen Street team who in the past have been students in our Bible school. So it's a lovely connection. It's a lovely close connection that we're thoroughly enjoying.
Fab. I love how sometimes we just have the little lovely circles of somebody goes somewhere, sees somewhere, comes back, brings someone, and then they're back again. And I love that kind of thing, how, OM and Capernwray Hall, then students and all that sort of stuff. So what brought you here 5 years ago? Was it, I fancy living near a Bible hall? Was there a more specific reason for coming here?
Well, I moved up to Cumbria 11 years ago, and I had no idea then that I'd be working at Capernwray. My husband is the local minister in Burton in Kendal. He's a Church of England minister, and so we moved up here for him 11 years ago, and then 5 years ago when the job here was advertised, I thought, well, that'd be an interesting place to work, and so it has proved. It's a fascinating place to be, so international, so much variety of what goes on here. No 2 days ever the same. A beautiful, beautiful location. I'm afraid it's radius. You can't see the hills and the trees and the sheep that I'm looking at right now, as well as the beautiful Lancashire stone and the manicured lawns. But it is a gorgeous place to be, and a huge privilege to work here. Yeah,
it was beautiful. We arrived 2 nights ago in the dark. In the dark, it's still a beautiful place, which does maybe give you an illustration of just how pretty it is. And if you can come here for one of the holidays and various things throughout the year, I would heartily recommend it. So you came up because of your husband's job. Where was home when you were younger?
So I was brought up in Buckinghamshire and lived there for many years, and then moved around mostly in the south. So I've been in London, I've been in Cambridge, I've been in near Eastbourne, and only just in the relatively recent past come north of Birmingham.
I was just to the west of Birmingham, in Wolverhampton. So what differences have you found? Because I've moved around the country quite a bit as well. We've lived in the south, in the Midlands, northeast, and partly east as well. And I found some very big cultural differences between the places. The further south I went, the less friendly people seem to be when you're walking down the street. The further north, they seem to get more friendly. But is that my experience? Is that yours too?
I think people can be people wherever they are, aren't they? Some are friendly, some are less so. Two things I think I've particularly noticed. We were in Eastbourne immediately before this, and the weather was definitely 5 degrees warmer all year. The other slightly strange thing I've just noticed is, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, different places have different names for little alleyways between buildings. So, where I grew up, we called it an alley. Down in Sussex, they call it a twitten. And up in Cumbria, they call it a ginnel. Now, did you know that there were lots of different words for just little alleyways between buildings?
No, because I grew up with alleys and alleyways. That's what I had. So no, hey, every day's a learning day.
Absolutely, that's right. I was astonished. I was astonished to find it in Sussex, and then come up north and discover they have a different word again. Wow, I wonder how many more there are in the UK. I haven't quite discovered that yet.
I'm not going to go into names of bread, rolls, because that just gets completely crazy. And I was chatting with a friend of mine in America, and she said, they call it a what? So let's not get down to bread. That's not relevant. What's your faith journey? Was it a Christian home? Where does God factor into your life? Was he somebody who was around you? Or was it, when did you decide this is something more than this is sort of distant thing, that actually this is a real person that I want to have a relationship with?
I was brought up going to church, but I have to confess I don't remember hearing much about Jesus and the cross and a relationship and any kind of knowledge of sin or need of salvation until I went. I was 16 and I was working on something a little bit like Capernwray, really. I was working at a Christian holiday place as a volunteer, doing washing up and cleaning and all those kinds of things that we still have volunteers do with us here too. And there were other people there who clearly were Christians, who knew Jesus, who made it abundantly clear that this was a living relationship they had. And that was the first time I'd ever come across people for whom Jesus was, a personal friend. One of the guys that was leading that holiday realised that I didn't know much about this, so he very, very kindly explained the gospel to me. I'm so grateful to him. Explained about Jesus, explained about the cross, explained about sin, and I was at that point that I realised that yes, I needed forgiveness, I needed Jesus, and I wanted to have that relationship with him. So I was 16. I was very, very grateful. And that's where my faith journey after that got stuck into a good church, had good Bible teaching. Carried on doing Christian holidays, met my husband at a Christian youth camp very similar to Teen Street, run by Cypher and CPAS. We did that for very many years. So again, Christian Youth Weeks have been part of my DNA. Learnt so much about leadership and Bible teaching in those. And then when we had our own children, one of the most fundamental things that was part of their discipleship as we were discipling them was to meet up with other families for a week's holiday, actually down in Devon, and putting into walking with the wise. We we like to call it that you're learning together what it means to disciple children, and we're countercultural, aren't we, as Christians? It's a different road that we're following, and so organising that holiday for many years, all turned out to be sort of culminating, coming to work at Capernwray, where lots of those things have come together in one place.
I love seeing how you can go through life and think, what on earth are we doing this for? God, where are you taking me? What's this for? And then 10, 20, 30, 40 years later, you're looking back and seeing, wow, God was at that point and at this point, and then he was at that point and he wove on this place and that person, and you're meeting people who you met 30 years ago and all of a sudden, oh, you live here too. How did you move here? I love those sorts of things because it just, for me, it's a testimony of the fact that God is not this distant thing, this distant creature. Actually, he's a real living person who is intimately involved in every single part of our life. He's a loving Heavenly Father who cares about us so much that actually our whole life is cared for, to the minor details, even to what you call an alleyway. Who knows where that's going to come in useful in the conversation one time, But nothing with God is ever wasted, is it?
Absolutely not. And yeah, in the same way that we have these, these close connections, it's always surprising how this fits into that. But it's also just such a great reminder. We had it in our devotion this morning. I'm with you always to the end of time. Go and make disciples of all nations. That it's small and these connections happen, but it's also so huge that it's the whole world. God is King of the whole world. He's sovereign over the whole world, and we get an aspect of that here at Capernwray and at OM and in Teen Street as well, because we've got so many different nationalities here, all worshipping the one God, all relying on the one God, all determined to speak of the one God, and the impact of that is being felt from this place all over the world, as it always has, to be fair, since 1946. God has been very kind in using Capernwray and OM to spread the good news of Jesus around the world. So yeah, it is glorious, isn't it, the way that he just has all these things under his control.
In the palm of his hand is the phrase that comes to mind. I mean, there's that number of hairs on our head, which is an amazing thing, but when you sort of, you think that one out just a bit more, if he knows the number of hairs on our head, then surely he probably knows where those hairs have fallen, and actually if that's a detail of stuff that God really has, actually we're in good hands. For all that we have, even if it seems a little bit crazy of, okay, God, why are you taking me this way? Actually, it's a really good thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I like that too. That's a great picture. I was looking at your hair when you were talking about hairs on your head, but let's not go there.
No, diminishing. I think it's partly an extra. I always used to wear a hard hat, so I've always had short hair, because wearing a hard hat, you just have hat hair. I was in a hard hat 12 hours a day, and I just have short hair, and I've always had fairly light crown and stuff. And I remember at school, 12, 13, oh, you're going bald. No, I'm really not going bald. It's just there's not a lot of hair up there, and there never has been. But that's fine. I don't care. You know what? God knows what my hairs are, even the ones that have disappeared. What is your next week looking like? This is Teen Street. What does next week look like for you?
Oh, that's great. That's a great question. So this is a sort of a mid-summer week for us, in the sense that we run 12 weeks of holiday programme here at Capernwray over the summer. We've already had 5 before Teen Street arrived, and we've got another 5 after they go. So we've had our own youth weeks here, and coming in the next few weeks we've got weeks where where families come, and again we do lots of Bible teaching, lots of activities, opportunity for families to get to know each other and encourage each other. And then at the end of that we do a sort of a mini Bible school for adults, and then a men's weekend. Still spaces available on those holidays, equipped, a men's weekend if any men want to come and see Capernwray themselves at the first weekend of September. Then we have a couple of weeks where we can clean the place, get it ready, and we have 150 international students arriving towards the end of September for a 32-week Bible school.
Wow, which takes you through till, when's that?
Takes us through to next June. We will do other things in between. They don't necessarily all stay for 32 weeks. They can stay for 6 months, they can stay for 10 weeks, or they can do both. And then we run a New Year holiday, and we run some women's weekends and a young person's holiday for 11 to 13-year-olds over the Easter break as well. So there's only, I think, about 20 nights a year when this place isn't full. It is it's a busy programme that we have. So yeah, we're enjoying having other people partnering with us this week. This is the first time we've actually had another organisation come and partner with us for a whole week, so that it is an exciting venture. But as from next week and for the rest of the year, it will be Capernwray's programme, which we will have visitors, but we won't have all the glorious joy of partnering with OM in all those weeks.
So the one question I had was, how many people can you get here on the centre? Because I'm guessing at this dining room, 150 or 100 people? I'm not quite sure of numbers.
I can tell you. So for this particular week at Teen Street, we've Teen Street board about 150 people, and then we've got about 50, 60 of our own people here. We actually have 240 beds in the house, and then this year for Teen Street it's been very exciting. We've started a campsite for the first time. So we actually have a field that we've created as a campsite, brought in the loos, brought in the showers, brought in the electricity. So we've got about 30 people down camping amongst the stars and the sheep and the fields. Our capacity is really about sort of 250, 300 if we were to have fill the dining hall, fill all our beds, and fill our conference hall. So 300 would be a max. Yeah. Which
is quite a few. Thank you so much for your time today. I know it was funny, you walked up and said, okay, I can turn that phone off, that's going to stay on, I've got a walkie-talkie, I'll turn that down. So you're clearly rather involved in all that's going on, which is great. So I will let you get back on with your day. Thank you so much for sharing some of that stuff. I get so encouraged when I hear stories from people talking about their own lives where they say, look, God was here, and then God was there, and then God brought us here. And it's just that interwoven, perfect weaving that only God can do, which is so beyond our own capabilities. So thank you so much for your time.
Here at Pure 24/7 Radio, we have had the privilege of speaking to some amazing people with amazing stories.
So I was already doing the work of an evangelist, and then I discovered that there was a term for it. And then I realized, I really wanted to learn more about the Bible and Christianity. So I went to theological college.
Most people think that my life as a marine biologist was spent riding on the back of a dolphin into the sunset.
That's my view.
Yeah, I did that never.
Been on the road 35 years, man and boy, doing magic and comedy to communicate the gospel. When I started off in 88, I was doing escapology. I kind of took that on from a friend of mine called Pete Gilbert, who was a real pioneer in creative communication.
If you have missed any of these interviews or would like to hear them again, you can. Simply head over to our catch-up section at www.pure247radio.org. That's www.pure247radio.org.